You're tuning into Best Perspective with Stef Pazzo, where we go one-on-one with Ultimate's top players, past and present.
Take it away, my goodness. Beautiful dish for Lashnik.
Mickael's able to get it out. Mickael lasers that one. Valk around. Second effort. Yes, leading throw. Embe Vogel successfully jumped in. Looking for Dameron. Always gone for the greatest attempt. And Marcel comes on with it.
Now I'm all in. Put me with the best, bring the stars in. Undefeated mode, no falling.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on wherever you may be tuning in from. Thanks for joining us on Best Perspective. I'm Stef Pazzo. And this month's edition, we've got our first guest from over the other side of the Atlantic, our first U.S. guest on the show. A U.S. junior champ, a world under 24 champ, 3-time Division I college champ, world club silver medalist, USAU club champ, and a WUC world mixed champ, Ben Damron. Welcome to the show. How you doing?
Doing well. Thanks for having me. It's exciting.
Yeah, my absolute pleasure. And you get a nice list of accolades already, as well as knocking off Team USA World Games, which we'll get into as we get through our conversation. But
for sure,
yeah, we on our show here we try and just dig in, find out pathways where some of these great players come from, where they started, what communities they played in. So we'll take it right back to the start for you, Ben. I guess, like, where are you from, and where did you find Ultimate, or where did Ultimate find you?
Sure. Yeah. So my first Ultimate experience was my dad played. So I'm from Atlanta, Georgia, and my dad played Ultimate as like a summer league pickup thing. And he was pretty into his summer league team. I think it was called Goose, and he has a shirt that he still wears. But anyway, he found the Pidea Ultimate Summer Camp, which is a high school in Atlanta, and they run a summer camp every year for middle schoolers and like older elementary schoolers. And he signed me up immediately and didn't tell me, and then it was like 2 days before the camp, and I was outside, and he was like, "All right, so you're going to Ultimate Camp," and for whatever reason, I was devastated about it, and I like cried. I was like, "You can't just sign me up for this." And then I went, and I loved it. So then I basically started playing Ultimate in any capacity I could, and it actually worked out because my 5th grade teacher played League as well. I think he played for a club team as well, so he found out that I liked Frisbee, and then we would throw on the playground like all the time. And then I would get my friends to like play 2v2 or 3v3. And so we'd play like that. And then once I got to middle school.
What age is this? You say middle school or primary school? Yeah. This is like what, you're a 10-year-old, a little older, a little younger?
Yeah. I was like 9 or 10. I think I was 10 when I first joined the camp. So I was primary school. And then once I was like 12, I started making, we made this combination team because my middle school was pretty small, or my school was really small. And so we made this team, and then I just kept on playing. I played on the high school team with all the older kids, like my 8th grade year when I was 13. And then I started playing YCC, and once I played YCC, which is like the youth club championships in the United States, that was when I was like, oh, this is really cool and big, and I already really loved it. But now I'm like, this is a bigger sport than I thought it was, and I was meeting all these people from across the country who also loved Ultimate. And when I was 15 or 16, we went all the way to the final of the under 16 division, and we lost on Universe to Seattle. And that, I think, was when I was like, oh, I could be pretty good. And I really want to try really hard at this and, see if I can win this tournament. And so played YCC for that. That was kind of the beginning that kind of got me the bug. I don't know if you want to that's kind of the start of my
Yeah, no,
career, I suppose.
that's a great start. I mean, I guess this is so. Now I'm looking at your, I get into Ultimate Reference. I love this website if you don't use it, but
Definitely. Good.
Atlanta Atlas and Atlanta ATLians. And the first
Yep.
question: ATLians, is that a straight play from Outcast album?
Yeah, straightforwardly, yeah.
Okay, sweet.
It's
And so
also
this,
something like you know how you call someone from a place like you know, Wisconsinite or something like that. Like people sometimes refer to some people from Atlanta as ATLians, like it's, a colloquial term, but also out, Outcast album, obviously.
blew it up. And now this was, so you played this middle school. You played your first YCC though. That is with these ATL clubs,
Yeah, so
Atlas and
Atlas. Yeah, that
Atlas
was my first
first,
YCC
and
national
that's where I see
club.
a silver medal there. So that's the Universe Point loss in 2016.
And then we ran it back in the next year, lost again. I think maybe by 2 that year, same
To
team.
Seattle again.
Yeah, we were on our revenge tour and
Yeah.
then did not pan out.
Any players that of prominence you remember
Yeah.
on that Seattle team?
So yeah. Well, playing with me was Callahan winners, Justin Burnett and Aiden Downey
Oh
on
yeah,
the Atlas
right.
teams. They were
Yeah.
super sick. Adam Miller also played on that team. Frankie Fernandez played on Atlas, and then on Seattle, I'm trying to think who the big names were. The interesting thing about Seattle is that like they're very big in youth. So there's just like a legion of youth players in Seattle. Trying to think if there's anyone that I remember specifically that was on that team. If I pulled up the roster, actually, stand by.
Yeah, we'll do.
Hold on, because I don't want to leave people out.
Yeah, fair. The so as you're searching, I don't want to throw you off track, but
Please.
so you get into this. Your dad forces you into frisbee. Kind of not uncertain until you get some middle schoolers playing. You get into some national championship finals. At this stage, I guess we'll get to the bottom of any Seattleites if you can pull up the roster. But
yeah, Jack Brown was on this team, I believe.
Okay.
He was super good, and
yeah, right.
obviously he's very good now. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Matter. Yeah.
But like, who was I guess what I'm always interested in knowing is like motivational, inspirational, like players, coaches. Were there like people you immediately looked up to as like, this guy's the best player, this girl's like, I want to play like him or like her?
Yeah.
That were either in your community or maybe you knew via the greater internet, or like, I don't know, what were your early day kind of heroes, I guess, once you got going in the sport?
Yeah. So when I was playing at the Ultimate Camp, the cool thing about Pidea Ultimate Camp is that the high schoolers that go to Pidea will come and be counselors at the camp, because they will go to the camp themselves and then become counselors, and that happened for me. Now I actually have been running the camp for the last 4 or 5 years, so I've been like camp director, which has been really surreal and cool because that's like a full circle thing.
Yeah.
But one of the counselors there was, two of the counselors were the two Stubbses, John Stubbs and India Stubbs, and they were both, prolific players, both of them in their own regard. And, particularly John was someone that I really looked up to, because he played for Pidea and, was my counselor one year, and is obviously, won the Callahan, and great club player, won on every level. Someone that I really looked up to, won the first championship with ATLians, actually. Okay. So he was like in 2013, ATLians won one championship, and John Stubbs was like the captain, like best player on that team, and he was definitely someone that I was really looking up to, and
super cool.
Wanting to emulate his play, and win another championship, almost like in some ways like for him or to stand alongside him sometimes in my mind. And I think, yeah, that's the first person that comes to mind, although many other people from Atlanta.
Yeah, sweet. That's a good one. I like that you've gone full circle with it now too, and run that. And hopefully we get some time, and I'd like to hear more. But what's it called? Pidea?
Yeah, Pidea. It's a high school in Atlanta. It's kind of a smaller school, but it has generated a lot of great American players. So notable ones being George Stubbs, Chris Kocher, Grant Lindsley, John Stubbs, India Stubbs, Miranda Roth Knowles, obviously like one of the greats ever.
Wow.
Let's see.
That's a great
Leela
list
Tennell, Dylan Tennell. Yeah, if I go back further, yeah, the list goes on. Just like really incredible players that all come from Pidea, and as a product of the coach there, Mickael Beccarini, who is one of the sort of pioneers of youth frisbee in the U.S. Alongside Tina Booth, him and Tina collaborated on a book, and he had one of the most prolific programs when high school was first starting up in terms of ultimate. And so, yeah, Pidea and Amherst were both legendary programs that would play each other nationally constantly. And
Right.
yeah, I was lucky enough to go to his camp and then be one of his players and learn under him and
that
understand.
was not necessarily your school. You didn't go to that high school.
So then I went to Pidea for high school. So after middle school, we applied to go to Pidea, and then I got into Pidea, and yeah, and like ultimate being kind of a factor, I would say.
Okay, that's my question. How much of a factor was Pidea? Was it proximity first, or was it like kind of ultimate first and then other things?
So like it checked a lot of boxes, I would say. Like ultimate was one of them, but wasn't the primary. It was like, it's like 10 minutes from my house where I was growing up. The ethos of the school really resonated with my parents. Very much empowering the student to, discover new ways to learn or be like go down the paths that really interest them. And it was very, they wanted to break down the barriers between the teachers and the students. So like you would call your teachers by their first name. You could, there were like short-term periods where you could, if you're really passionate about a subject, you could spend a month teaching a class on something that you were really passionate about. Spend that time planning and have a teacher that you collaborate with. And there were just a number of things about Pidea that made it different than other American schools, I would say. It was smaller, more tight-knit community. Ultimate was considered like a varsity sport, which is not common in the US, although I think it's gaining a little bit more traction in recent years. But yeah, and Mickael coached ultimate there, and I always knew it to be like the ultimate school because I went to the camp every year. And so, yeah, leading up after I was 13, looking to go to another school, that was definitely one that drew us. And it was like the only school that we applied to. Otherwise, I was going to go to my local school, Druid Hills, which would have been great too. But they happened to let me in.
You got a double bonus. You got in, and you got the. It sounds like a bit of a mecca for American ultimate high schools, or in the upper echelon, anyhow.
Yeah, we were definitely one of the better teams.
Sweet. So then, your high school days were obviously good. You went through national championships. By the time you finished, you did the AT Aliens under 20. You got the USA Youth Championship. Is that your last year?
Yeah, that was my last year, and it has a bit of an asterisk, much to my chagrin.
What happened?
Well, basically, we were playing Boston in the final, and pretty much one of the worst thunderstorms I've ever seen in my life decides to roll up at 4-2. and just swamps the complex, and they canceled the tournament pretty much.
So
They were like,
you're winning
okay.
4-2, and you got the title on default because that's
We
how
didn't
much
get the
the game
title.
could.
They gave us co-championships because we didn't get to half. So we got
Fair enough.
we are co-championships. But let it be known for the record, we beat them 15-10 in pool play, and we were winning the game. So in
This
my
is
book,
good.
it's like asterisks plus half an asterisk versus
Right,
them.
I get you. Asterisks
Yeah.
and some.
Yeah.
And then so you finish high school, and you end up going to North Carolina, another big hub for Ultimate. How much of this move, before we get into your time in North Carolina, but as far as this decision, now that you've made a decision to go to a high school that had some Ultimate bearing in mind,
Yep.
I know that you take your education and your career path seriously, but how much bearing did Ultimate have going to North Carolina?
Yeah, I think it was certainly a factor, but I think just generally it was a factor I was considering in all of my schools. So like my the four I was thinking about were Georgia, Carleton, Colorado, and North Carolina, and I knew that all four of those programs had really strong teams and cultures, and I wanted to be a part of a team. I knew that was something that I wanted for my college experience. So I think North Carolina kind of was it ticked all of the boxes where it wasn't too far from home, but it was far enough to where I didn't want to just go home every weekend. And it's obviously a very excellent school educationally, wonderful teachers and programs, and very quintessential American college. It's in a college town, Chapel Hill. It's very beautiful. The Southeast is beautiful in the spring and fall. Um, you know, the Frisbee team is obviously very decorated and was sort of on the come up at that point. Had won one championship, lost the year before. I went and visited, loved the team, loved the people on the team, got shown around by people like Liam Searles Bowes and Seth Lee, and I really connected with those people, and I felt like that was a place that I wanted to be. And so then, yeah, when I got into school, it kind of, I did like a pros and cons list, and UNC had no cons. And so I was like, okay, gonna do that. Yeah.
And were you playing club in Atlanta in high school at this stage, or were you pretty much just high school playing? Were you playing chain at all, or any Atlanta club before you moved to North Carolina?
No, I was very diehard YCC, and so to me it was like I didn't even understand that I could have like gotten better if I'd played Atlanta club. I don't know if I even could have made chain, to be honest. That wasn't really when I feel like I was at my best relative to the rest. But I was very focused on YCC, so I was all in on ATLians. I think I captained that last year. I could be wrong. But I was just very into YCC, so I didn't do that before North Carolina.
And then so you go to North Carolina. You play Dark Side again. You mentioned one of the best programs of all time. Certainly, when you went there, things were popping off. Going into a program that is a defending champion. How was fitting in on a team like that? Being a rookie, a freshman. Talk about your first year and how you were integrated, what kind of a role they put you in, and how you fit in for what ended up being a championship season for you.
Yeah, so my rookie year was actually the COVID year. So in 2019, 2019 fall was when I went in, and that was, and they obviously they had visited and they were like, you should come, but then at the tryout they were very stone faced, and they were kind of putting up a facade of sorts of like, you got. I went in wondering if I was gonna make the team or not, because at tryouts they were, if I had done a cut and I didn't get enough yards in the cut or whatever, they'd be like, you have to get more out of that, like that's unacceptable. And I was like, oh geez, like I don't know if I'm gonna make this team. And then obviously I made the team, and it was super exciting, and I made it with my roommate Kevin Pignoni. And so we were like going through the tryout process together with Matthew McKnight, and it was just spectacular. You go from being one of the best players on your YCC team, and doing well at nationals, and then going to college and realizing like, oh, I'm surrounded by Alex Davis and Anders Ljungston, Liam Searles-Bose, and Elijah Long, and the list goes on. And like, I'm not even remotely close to the top of the totem pole. And I think that that's a great place to be, like surrounding yourself with people who are really good at what they do and also are invested in making you good at what you're trying to do. And so I felt a deep sense of investment from my teammates, and a deep sense of like, I want to play with these people when it matters. And so, yeah, just a lot of learning what it means to lift, and learning what it means to like get in shape for college. And I had to reteach myself how to throw a flick because my flick was not good enough. And so, like hours spent on the field outside of our dorm with Kevin, who has a buttery flick, watching Kevin throw a flick and thinking about what can I do to change my own, realizing that like I wasn't there yet and I needed to get there. And by that, go ahead.
Interjecting just on that, what kind of things did you realize about your throwing mechanics at that stage of the game? What was it that you kind of had to fix?
So my backhand has always been very good. That was the throw that my dad always taught me how to throw. Actually, going back, if we rewind all the way to the start, my dad would throw Frisbee with me. Like I always threw Frisbee. Like my dad, when I was 3, would drive me we would bike to the park, and then we'd sit up on top of a hill, or he would put me on top of a hill with a Frisbee, and he would sit down on the bottom, and then he would have me throw a Frisbee to him, and there was no way to fail because I was up on top of the hill, and so it would just fly all the way down to him. And so I always threw backhands to him, and that was I always loved like throwing Frisbee. So I think that's why Ultimate kind of clicked. Anyway, tangent. Coming back, I think my flick mechanics were I was very push heavy. When my dad taught me how to throw a flick, he like left off these 2 fingers, and so he would just throw it like that. And so I was just very wrist dominant when I was throwing my flick. And when you're trying to throw a flick far, that does not work. You have to break your wrist and hold the disc with more of like a Spock sign, multiple points of contact, having a tight grip, and using more of like a whipping motion. And these are all things that I was not doing, and limited me greatly. And so I had to completely rework the flick. Like, I mean, I wasn't throwing it well until maybe my junior or senior year.
Okay. Very interesting stuff. Okay, so you get a whole pile of mentors out of your first year at Darkside. You get some adjustments on your basic mechanics of throwing. You go on to win the title that year. Like, I don't know, did you get a sense of involvement by the end of the season? Like, what was your role on the team? Like, were you a D-liner? Were you like a second, a broken O-liner? What kind of role did you get to play by the time you were in championships?
Okay, so 2019 was the COVID year, so
not your rookie. I guess it's your sophomore year there when you won because of COVID. Yes.
It was the fall of my junior year when we won.
Okay.
So my freshman year, I was like basically I was fighting to be a starting D-liner. I was very good at like person defense, just one-on-one individual matchup. I couldn't think beyond helping. So I was just like, they would throw me on, more disc dominant people, and I would try to lock them down or limit them. Fast forward to my junior year after COVID gets out, I've gotten a lot better out of COVID because I've just been playing 3v3 over the course of COVID, guarding like Anders and Suraj Madaraju pretty much in a vacuum for the entire year. And now that's pretty much my job again, but I'm a lot better and I'm older and more experienced. And so, yeah, my role was pretty much like starting D as someone that they threw on the more disc dominant hybrids. So like I was guarding Quinn and JR and people like Hayden or And I would be rotated on and off. Obviously, like we just had too many good players to like not play them. So I wouldn't say I was like the top D liner. I was more like 5, 6, 7, 8 type of D line. Sometimes I would start, but I was certainly in the rotation getting reps on guys who were wanting to touch it a lot and were important for the opposing team's offense.
Right. And then as in that same year, so it's your junior year, you're
Yep.
playing ring as well. And
Yep.
is it mostly the same guys at this stage, or is there a big difference on that dark side team and that ring team? Like how many guys would be playing both?
Yeah, so like that dark side team was special because we had like I think we might have had eight or nine ring guys on that dark side team. So a lot of integration into that team, but then you join ring and you add Jack Williams, Ryan Osgar, Eric Taylor, Nethercutt, Jacob Fairfax, like out like list goes on. Dylan and Henry Fisher, like, and you're like, holy. So, you integrate those great players I was playing with and also add like some of the best in the world. And that kind of made for an incredible 2021 team. And we ended up beating Pony that year in the final. That was crazy.
Yeah. Now at this stage, you get a college championship, you back it up with a U.S. national championship.
Yeah.
I don't know, where's your head at this stage, kind of, as far as your player development? How are you feeling? And I guess also, so a bit of like where are you feeling? You got to have some boost of confidence being on teams like this, but also how does your role change again going from college to the club scene?
Yeah, so club scene, I was doing pretty similar stuff to what I was doing in college, but I was just like down the totem pole more. So, it was my first year playing club. I'm a rookie on the team, still doing similar things where they would throw me on quick, hybridy guys that wanted to be, sort of like those mid-layer guys. So like, if you're familiar with Atlanta, like a Matt Smith, or they'd throw me on Stubbs once or twice, or they would throw me on, like I guarded JR on Pony as well. People like that were doing those sorts of things. And I was also pretty hurt, like through a good stretch of this. I had pretty bad patellar tendonitis. And so I hadn't really figured out what was wrong with my body yet. And so I was dealing a lot with injury throughout this time. But yeah, I was going out there on the field because I wanted to be out there for the reps. I wanted to be out there contributing while all these other great players around me were playing. But I think in positioning myself, I was like, oh, these people want me on their team. That says to me that I can be great, like I can be a great player, and I want to be as good as all these great players around me: Saul, Matt, Jack, Ryan. Like I literally get reps against them every single week. That's the stuff that you can't make up. And I'm I've found myself somehow in this little triangle town with some of the best players in the entire world, and I get to play with them all the time. This is something that I have to take advantage of. So that's definitely where my head was at, where I just wanted to get better. And that's something Darkside really instills, is every rep. What can I do differently? What could I have improved? How could I have worked with my teammate differently? Could I have positioned differently? Even if you score, like, was there a time when I was clogging in this way or whatever? It's very minutia, like building on everything. And I think that work ethic and that acceptance of like, it's okay to fail. I just need to recognize that I failed and learn from it. Highly ingrained in the dark side players. And I think that's what's led to such great development, especially from players who have never played Frisbee before, but quickly get very good, like Alex Davis, Grayson Trowbridge, those types of guys.
Nice. It sounds like a heck of a program, Darkside. You guys went on to win 2 more. And then you guys finished off with a bronze medal, and then this year outside the semis. And I remember that was a bit of a storyline, that it was the first time, and you'd probably be able to help me out, but in quite some time, the Darkside didn't make a semi. you talk about, I've seen so many people join the sport and win early and then leave the sport or be like, they're happy enough to walk away. They got some huge titles. They can play, the summer league or beer league and take it down a notch. That they've done some winning. It doesn't seem like that is happening to you at all. But you did some winning early, and then you've taken your lump, so to speak, with very good teams and good finishes. I think it's a testament to show how good the college division is in the U.S. But how talk us through kind of the feelings maybe of being able to be on top early and then fighting to kind of stay near the top and kind of move further down as you go through your program. What is that like?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. Yeah, I mean, it's hard. I think that my priorities sort of changed as I played more Frisbee. In 2022, I was like, win no matter what. Like, all these dudes just left from 2021. We have to step up. Going to work as hard as I can to bring the success that they tried to leave for us. And that was a great championship. And then 2023, same thing. Like, Liam leaves, couple like really important pieces leave. We got to do it again. Like, we have to. And so you're just working as hard as you can and optimizing and, dark side, constantly thinking of those things. And I think that I also realized that championships, there has to be something to that run. Like, there has to be a little bit of luck. There has to be a little bit of things kind of go your way. Like, we won on Universe again in the quarter against Brown in 2023. And, if like a couple things go differently, then we lose in quarters. And that, I think, was like one of the best dark side teams that I've been a part of. Right. And obviously we steamrolled into the rest of the tournament, but, Brown had us on Universe. And so, I think the same can be said for this 2025 team, where we lost on Universe to Carleton and we lost on Universe to Colorado. And I thought that it was like one of the most cohesive, hardworking, connected teams that I've ever been a part of during my time on dark side. Just incredible investment into each other and intentional moments of connection across the team, moments of vulnerability and camaraderie and brotherhood across the team that you really can't make up. And that's kind of like why we play our game, is, I think, to me, is the team aspect of what it means to be a part of a group that's working towards something, that's working towards a common goal, and is using that as a catalyst to create connection and meaning across people. Like, the relationships that I build from Ultimate, I think, are the most special part of it. Like, I'm staying in this house because I have connections to Frisbee, and I've made deep bonds with people that I've played with. And I think that doesn't just happen. It has to come from some sort of catalyst. And I think team sports are often that. And so to think about dark side, like, a couple different things go our way in 2025. Like, we probably, are vying for a championship. Like, I felt just as good about that team as any team that I had played for. And we were literally, if we were playing on turf, the final throw on the goal line, like, if it doesn't hit that blade of grass, like, we win the quarter. And now, who knows what happens. And, in 2024, probably the worst conditions I've ever played in my entire life. And people just we were just dropping it. Like, we were misexecuting. And it was like that both sides. And it was almost like you were playing roulette at that point because of the conditions on the field. And, like, sometimes it just doesn't happen for you. And obviously you can try to iterate and change things to prevent that or mitigate the chance of risk or the chance of things not going your way. But I think, I'm not saying that we got unlucky at all, but I think that in some ways there are things that have to align in those runs that allow you to get to the top and win that championship. And I think that's what makes the three-peat so incredible, especially considering that Pleiades also three-peated. I think that that's just spectacular. And so special that I got to be a part of it, and also considering the community and friends that I've made as a result of that process. So
Sick. Very true. I say often you gotta learn how to lose before you learn how to win well, or be able to accept losing the same way you're able to accept winning. And the margins are so small. You're very right in the sense that those 3 championships could have been negated on one side and just as easily won on the side where you lost. But it is what makes those memories that much more special when you do win, and it is what fuels the tank just the same when you miss out by those small margins as you've done. But an impressive college career in every sense for you. Club, you've stayed with Ring since then. You won early. You guys have gone on. Ring's been a stellar team forever. Same. It seems like always quarters. Or have you missed out recently? Since you won, have you been in the quarters each time? No, this. I should have this. Yeah,
I've been in quarters every year I've played Ring.
Every year you played Ring, and so now I'm gonna talk about moving forward now, because I know you are in an apartment in New Jersey looking for work, and you have shifted to Pony, and I guess the same question I've asked you twice now. What prompted the move? I know Ultimate's a part of your life, and there's some reasoning to go to New York to play for that club, but spell it all out for us. How did the move from your graduation at North Carolina? Tell us what happened from there to have you end up in New York State.
Yeah, I think so. Growing up in Atlanta, I certainly enjoyed living in a city. Not a very walkable city, very driving focused. And I think that's the case for most spaces in the US, is especially cities. Like, most cities you have to drive. And I spent a decent amount of time up in New York over between 2022 and 2024. For whatever reason, like friends and events, and just found myself in the city a number of times, and really enjoyed the way that you would walk to the subway and then take the subway to here and there, and everything was really like within under an hour, like across the city, for the most part. And I think I wanted a change of pace from Chapel Hill. I was living in this college town for 6 years, and because I went 4 years undergrad and then 2 years grad school, and I wanted a change of pace, and I wanted to live in a city, and I wanted to have more opportunities to do things. I had one bar that was my favorite bar. I had one coffee shop that was my favorite coffee shop, and that's really cool. And also, I really like novel experiences and seeing new things and learning new things about myself as a result of new experiences. And I was deciding between New York and DC at the end, and both, I think, offered similar things. New York probably a little bit more walkable, DC more bikeable. But I think ultimately New York just had everything, and DC had a very, it's a little bit more politically focused, policy focused. That's not my realm of profession. I'm trying to become a psychotherapist. So that was what my degree was in. And New York has some of the best psychotherapy that you can find in the world in terms of trainings and teachers and opportunities. Obviously, like, Pony's very good, and there are players on Pony that I really wanted to play with, like Chris Kocher, and Anders Jungst moved here last year, and that's someone who's like one of my closest friends, and I like to play with him. And either way, I was going to a great team. So, funnily enough, like, Frisbee was less of a factor. Obviously, always a factor. I'm not going to move somewhere that doesn't have a great Frisbee team. But I think, New York just has a level of intrigue and a level of almost like uncomfortableness to it, where it felt like I'm kind of like making a big leap in my life. And I feel like that's kind of what I wanted to do. I wanted to see kind of what it would make out of me. and see what it's like to live in the big city and like face some of the adversity that comes with that and face some of the incredible rewards that come with living in a huge city. And that where everything kind of comes to you and you see every single walk of life. Like New York is more international people that live there than national. And I think that's really cool. And you can't really get that in almost any other US city. So, I mean, for a plethora of reasons, New York felt like a place that I wanted to go and see what it would be like. And so I just took the leap. Shashank Alati, he got a new place in New Jersey and was like, "Hey, you can stay with me while you're looking for jobs." And that kind of put me over the edge. I was like, okay, I should go and do that. Like, this is the universe telling me, like,
Yeah,
go to New York.
You had a pull factor sending you in. Love to hear that you allow the universal guidance. That stuff is real, man.
It's super
and
real.
now that you're there, you've already won a tournament with Pony. You guys won PC East. What's it like? How's Pony? You're there now. You're playing with Cotter and Youngst again, and what's your role looking like for the season, and how is it playing with? I guess it's only your second club team, right?
Yep, it's my second club team. If COVID hadn't happened, I was going to try to play Chain. I wanted to play Chain, but it didn't work out because of COVID. But yeah, I mean, it's been super fun. I recently learned that Pony has 11 new players, and for the most part, they're all really young, like around my age. And that's been really exciting because you're kind of watching this older version of Pony, which I think was pretty set in their ways and set in their culture with a lot of folks leaving. Now we have an opportunity to create a new team identity. You know, obviously there are lots of great things that Pony does. I think Pony's work ethic is incredible. It was something that really stuck out to me from the get. These guys really work hard off the field and on the field. But there's like a fun, young energy from what I've been told by the older folks that has sort of been injected into this year's team. I think as a result of just young people who have had their own experiences and they bring them to this team. And so it's just been a blast so far. Everyone on the team is super kind, and you know, I want to get to know them. They want to get to know me, and we're already building those bonds. And yeah, I'm just excited also for the practices. Like I've had one practice, and it was like one of the hardest practices that I've been a part of. It was just like I'm getting a really good matchup every single time that I'm being guarded, and so I'm playing O as like a cutter hybrid type of situation with a number of other guys on O, a lot of guys who do similar things to me. And so it's fun to like run an end zone set with Chris and Anders and Sam. Like that's really cool. It's really hard to like stop us in that space, and getting to kind of play with these elite players where, you know, I'm getting guarded by sick players every single time. I have to work as hard as I can. And also I know that I've got incredible players that are on my line that can get me out of a pinch. I mean, that's the stuff that you rep that over and over and over and over again. Like you're going to get better. And I think this is a team that's going to make me better at Frisbee.
Awesome. That's as important as it gets. They're going to make you better and maybe provide you a space to go and win. You know, I think Pony's always in the conversation, making the finals last year. Certainly, I think maybe a small surprise that they made it as deep as they did last year. Small surprise. I don't think anybody ever really count Pony out, but you know, it was I think a pleasant surprise to most for a lot of people who did maybe see them with an older roster and still getting it done. So an injection of youth. Let's see what Pony's got in store. What about UFA? I think you've only played one season. Looking down your resume, is that what Rally Flyers once? Is that a one-time deal? Is that something you ever consider?
Okay, yeah. So this is kind of topical. So I played one game for the Flyers. I never played,
not even one season, one game.
Yeah, just because basically there was a makeup game they had to do before their playoff game, so they rested all their starters and asked like a bunch of local area guys to come and play in the game. So pretty much a meaningless game. I just suited up because I had to play it. So I played. It was fun. But I've just like never had the desire to play UFA because of the way that it intersects with college, I think, primarily. It always ends up being that the UFA season is like pretty underway while the college is peaking, and I always am going to prioritize dark side over anything else. So I never really wanted to play flyers, and my body can't take the load of playing flyer or college flyers national team if that is happening that year. Club, that's, and then right after club, right back into college fall. So pretty much no off season has been my experience for the past 3 or 4 years, which is pretty taxing on the body, and I'm constantly kind of just in like maintenance mode. So yeah, that kind of led me to not really playing UFA. But yeah, Calvin Brown, one of my good friends, recently went down with a bad knee injury, and they reached out to me recently, like last week, and the Empire did, and they were like, "We'd really like you to play for the last couple of games." They made me an offer, and so I'm already playing with a lot of the guys on Empire through Pony, so I just kind of viewed it as an opportunity to, I get to kind of come in at the best part of the season, which is playoffs, and get to play with Jack Williams again, and get to play with on the O line with a lot of these guys who are already playing on my team, so I can develop chemistry with them, kind of dip my toe into the UFA since I've never really been a part of it before, and see if that's something that I want to do next year. The one thing that I sort of sours me on the UFA is the size of the field. I think it's too big, and at least personally, I guess when I really play in these games, like there's one this weekend, I'll really know. But to me, it's always been like, oh, that seems like just so much harder for the defense to play, and also seems like so much extra running, like beyond what it needs to be. And it's not like club. The field is so big, and the stall count is 7, and you can double team, and there's referees, and if you have a call, then you get like you change in yardage. It's just like so different.
Yeah, a lot of your presets get messed with.
Yeah.
The things that are automated, you gotta put extra thinking into, I suppose. I mean,
like
I've
you can't
certainly
stall.
never played.
Yeah, like you're not allowed to stall because the ref stalls for you.
Yeah, right.
I'm like, how am I gonna set a mark and not stall? Like I stall in basketball when I play pickup basketball. If I'm guarding someone at the top of the key, I'm
Just
stalling them.
automatic.
You know what I mean?
So you're playing UFA. That's a done deal. You accepted the offer, and you're going to go play for the Empire for what they got 1 game left in the season, and then playoffs. Is that right?
Yeah, except I can't even play the DC playoff game because my best friend's getting married that weekend, so
Okay.
I'm going to his wedding. But
So the assumption
after
is
that,
they'll win, and then
if they can beat DC,
if they
then
can
I'll
beat
play in
DC, you'll play the
Boston
and
playoff
then after
game.
that it will be Boston. You still go through the divisions first, and then championship weekend.
Yeah, so it's the 2 bottom seeds or the 2 bottom qualifying playoffs teams from each division play in a playoff
to
game.
play number 1.
They play the 1, then they go the top from each division go to the championship weekend semifinals.
Will you
finals.
play the last game of the season, or is your season is Empire already finished all their games?
So yeah, I'm going to play this weekend, which is the last game, which is actually kind of meaningless standings wise because Boston's locked up the 1 and we're locked into playoffs.
Right.
We're going to play DC regardless. But that'll kind of help me adjust to the game. Like I'm definitely looking forward to it and seeing what it's like, especially against Boston, who has a super talented roster with many, many people that I'm quite familiar with and friends with, which I'm excited to see them. And yeah, so it'll be cool. And then DC playoff game, hopefully we'll win. And then, if we don't, UFA over. But if we do win, then excited to play against Boston at their peak. I'm assuming they might rest some people this weekend, and then championship weekend could be cool too.
See how they go.
Yeah, so,
super cool.
We'll see.
Okay, let's talk. We've talked all kind of realms. USA repping. You did it as a youth. You do. You got selected in 2020, and that was a COVID year. That was
that was COVID.
the joint juniors. Under 24s, you won in Nottingham on the open team. You were a standout player there. I remember watching, and I was there. And then you were in the Gold Coast on the mixed team. Another gold medal there for USA. I think mixed team probably the strongest against the competition of the three USA teams, in my humble opinion. World Games not selected. I guess let's go first question before we talk about the World Games tryout, because I do want to ask you a bit about that. But how important is it for you to be on USA teams? Like, as far as your priorities and things that you want to accomplish in Ultimate, is repping USA, is it at the top? It would seem for most national rep is pinnacle, but break it down.
Yeah, I think like dark side's always going to be my priority. Obviously, I'm not on dark side anymore, so that changes. But when I was on dark side, that was my priority. Would never choose any other team over dark side. But it's certainly a priority. I think from a personal level, you want to play with and against the best. And I think the national team, playing for the national team, is a straight shot to doing that. You get to understand not only the national level where you're going to those tryouts and it's like everybody here is elite and incredible, and I've played against them, and now I have the chance to play with some of these folks. That in and of itself is a cool and surreal experience, and is a testament to like the work that you put in to get there. And so that's certainly part of it. Some of the national team folks that I have played on in the past are now some of like my really good friends. And I think that kind of speaks back to the way that this sport has connected me to so many incredible people. And I think that a lot of that is through the avenue of national teams, where I can go to a tournament and be like, oh, what's up, teammate? Like even though we're on different teams, we've been teammates before. There's that mutual respect and appreciation for those people. And then beyond that, you get to then, in the same way that when I got to YCC for the first time, I saw that this was a national sport. When you play a national team, now you see it's an international sport. And I think that that is a perspective that is incredibly valuable, and one that I personally always cherish and can't get enough of, because now I'm going and I'm playing against people from all around the world. And, you're sharing this experience of Frisbee with people from all walks of life, from people from all, different countries, and seeing what their style is like the fact that there are different styles of Ultimate outside of American, for me, was so eye-opening. And like, I didn't know that you could play in the way that the Colombians play, or play in the way that the Japanese play, and how you have to adjust to that. And then, playing on a team like Tokai, you get to play alongside them and see how those things meld and mix, and make friends with people from all around the world. And knowing that, like, if I go to this country, I could hit up this person and be like, hey, what are you doing? Like, can we hang out? Can I crash yours? You're welcome to come to mine. Like, it's so cool. And I think a big part of those national team experiences is like playing on the international stage, and meeting people like you, meeting people like Liam Grant, meeting people from all around the community that you realize like love the sport in the same way that you do. And it makes the world a little bit smaller, a little bit more familiar. You empathize with other people more. It's enriching to a degree that I didn't understand until I played at the international level. And that's a big, I think, factor for me, and also wanting to like play with the absolute best of the best. And from a Frisbee perspective, that's playing for the national team. Trying to make that team is a signal that you're getting to play with some of the best in the entire world. And
especially, being American, you guys are targets on your back, but for a reason. The best country in Ultimate, I believe there's more people playing in the US than the rest of the world combined. There's more, more coaches, more experience, more levels of, so many people are playing harder games more frequently. Repping that country even more. Let's go back to last year in Gold Coast. You ended up on the mixed team. Was that was that your preference, or was that kind of a relegation, or how does that go? Like, did you pick open and then ended up with mixed? Did you pick no preference? How did that go?
I think my thought process going in was, especially because it was my first, WC full adult worlds, was I just want to make a team. So I put no preference, like no brainer. Like if someone wants me, take me. A lot of the people that made the open team were people that I was already friends with. And so I think when the rosters initially came out, I was like absolutely over the moon shocked that I made the team, and so excited. There were some friends that like Calvin Brown was on the team, and I was like, oh, this is so cool, and also like pretty much all of the North Carolina guys were playing on the open team, and guys that I matched up with were on the open team, and so I was just like I was like, oh man, they're gonna have so much fun. But also I was super intrigued by the idea of playing mixed, because I'd never played mixed either.
Ever.
So there was like sort of some nervousness around mixed as well, where I was like, I don't know necessarily like why they took me. Like I've never played mixed before. I hope that this can like work out. Obviously, I'm excited for the challenge, but I was just kind of nervous in like on a number of levels about it. But also obviously like I'm gonna do it no matter what. Like I got selected. I couldn't believe it. And yeah, it just turned out to be like absolutely incredible. Because I think the mixed ultimate creates like a different type of experience in ultimate. Like it's so cool to play cross gender and think about all the ways that that changes the way that you throw and the timing and like the spaces that you run to, and being cognizant of like, oh, if I'm sitting deep, like, and someone goes deep, my person is going to be a real big problem for like any deep throw. Or there's like all like we have to alternate genders in the end zone set so that they can't roll. Like it introduces this plethora of complexity to the game that I was really astounded by and didn't understand was a part of it until I got to the tryout and then further got on the team and we were repping it. And I was like, whoa, this is like hard and new and challenging. And also I think the team culture that occurs from a mixed team is just kind of different. There's a different approach. There's a camaraderie to it. There's a sense of vulnerability to it that I think is really cool to kind of think about how I can meld with all of my teammates and have like a really fun experience in this setting that like I've never really been in before. So yeah, I was like stoked about the mixed team, and it was just a blast the whole time. And I made like incredible friends, people that I never would have played with. And, playing all these open teams, I didn't really have any exposure to the women's division, not too much. Obviously I knew who the great player was, Kayla Helton was on my team. Carolyn Finney was on my team. I was like, I'm playing with Carolyn Finney and Kayla Helton. Like, holy crap. Yeah, that's absolutely insane. So some starstruckness to it as well. I think I was the youngest player on the team.
Were you? Yeah. Makes sense. Yeah. That, how old are you now? You're 25?
24.
24. Yeah, right. So you were just missed this year's under 24s.
Yep. Just missed it. It was one of those things where like some cycles you're like right at the age cutoff, but my cycle I still theoretically had a year left of being under 24.
Right. Yeah, I love mixed. I like it more, but I always played way more open when I was young. I feel like that's the way it is in the US, where way more of the top players still nominate for open and women's before mixed in club. But I do love that the top level is still mixed. To make USA World Games is the top selection. I know you went to at least one of the tryouts. How'd your tryout go? Or did you only get one? Tell us.
Yeah, so it was like they had a 80-person first tryout, invite, fill out a application, sent some tape to them, and then 80 people got invited. And then after that first weekend of tryouts, they take a week, review the tape, and then invite, I think it was 32 or like 30 people or something around there.
Major cuts, more than 60% cut, right?
Yeah. And then that's the second trial weekend. And so I made the second trial weekend. Yeah, it was just crazy. It's second trial weekend, especially where it's like
32 players,
you're
16,
in the running.
16 MMPs. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're definitely in the running at that stage.
You gotta beat 6 people, that's the task. And it also happens to be that the 15 other people here are like the best in the world. So, yeah, that's a different type of pressure. It's a different type of experience, but I think they do a good job of making you sort of buy into the team. A team of 34 is theoretically a large team, but could be the size of a regular Frisbee team.
Training squad and
a practice team or whatnot. And so you go to those tryout, and it's just crazy. You're playing against the very best. You're getting cooked in different directions, and then you're cooking, and it's very gratifying or satisfying to know that you're playing well against the best. And it brings a level of pressure to where it's like you got to step up and play your best. And there's a lot of mental fatigue that goes on there where you're like, I made this miss throw, does that mean I'm not on the team anymore? Or does that mean that I've ruined my chances? Or all these things go through your head, while also trying to support your teammates and like show that you are invested in the team and that you want the team to succeed. And because you do, if this is potentially the team that you could make, like you want this team to be the best one that it can be. So you like put your full self toward it. And yeah, it was just a cool experience to, I was very like emotional at the end.
Would you have been amongst the youngest at that final 32 as well? Were there any or many that were younger?
Yeah, it was just me and Abby Hecko, were the same age. She's a few months younger than me. So she was the youngest, WMP, and I was the youngest MMP.
Right. Crazy. So in the end, you did it. You got the axe there. You didn't make it. Hopefully that's something that stays on your horizon. And it's a long wait. That's the only the biggest kick in the nuts, I suppose, is that you don't make, you get so close, and it's like, okay, I'm one of the youngest. I got a bright future. Which, if that's not in your head, it should be. But I got to wait 4 years. However, we get. I met Lisa P. She dropped your name. You were on my radar for many reasons, and especially in the ULTI World Discord, I kind of like prodded, and I was like, if you guys were trying to beat this, once the USA dropped their roster, it's like, if you guys were trying to beat this team, who would you take from the USA? And two or three of the names that ended up on the Tokai Super Team roster came out of that as well, including yours. But talk about that, kind of getting a chance to play against the team that you got cut from. You talk about how much you want to support that team and be with that team, but now it's like, okay, I got 4 years to wait now, and now I get a chance to swing against them, show my worth, prove myself. Talk a bit about that experience and how it went for you.
Yeah, I mean, when you reached out, I was like, and you set the scene that you exactly just set just now, like it was no brainer. I'd certainly, I felt really good about my tryout. I thought that I played really well. I thought that I showed up in the best way that I could as both a teammate and an on-field player. And yeah, I was really devastated that I didn't make the team. A lot of the older guys on the team that had played on the team before came up to me after the tryout and were like, you're a lock. Like, I really think that you're going to be on this team. And there were, a lot of guys I looked up to for a while. And so I was kind of just expecting to be an alternate, and I didn't expect to make the team. And it made sense to me that they might invest in me as a young player and then have a shot in 4 years. And to not be taken was, that really, really stung. To a point where when, you reached out about Tokai, I was like, no doubt, absolutely doing it.
I still remember asking you, I was like, but you want to beat them, right? And you were like, absolutely. That was the full conversation. That was for me, the confirmation. I was like, okay, yeah, you're American and this, but you got to want to beat the hell out of these people. And you gave absolute confirmation on that end. So I was excited.
Yeah, so like, sure. That was definitely my initial motivation, was like, I've got a shot against against this team that I got cut from that I think I should have made. I think that my tryout showed that I should have made, and I didn't, and that's okay. They went with like the experience and the familiarity, and I respect the coach's decisions to an extent. I'm always gonna like back myself, because I think you have to. You gotta like believe in yourself if you're gonna want to like make this team. You gotta have confidence that you're, the best to make the best teams. So, but with that said, yeah, that idea you floated across, no brainer. And then I was like, oh, now I get to play with all of these like incredible international players that, probably feel kind of similarly in the way that they want to beat the US. And also like I get to meld with them. And there's American players I hadn't really played with before that I wanted to play with. And then obviously, any chance you get to play with, all of the players on a roster and get to expand those international connections and just, there was no pressure on us, for the most part. It was like we go out there and just play incredible ultimate, play against the best players that every single team has to offer. And like, so going back to wanting to play at the highest level against the best players, like that's what the London invite was this year.
Yeah, it was awesome. We kind of shit the bed against Germany, I would say, in a windy game, and kind of took us out. But it also really alleviated even more pressure when we went to go play the US. We were like, guys, we got to beat the US by 4 to have a chance. Like that seemed, I don't think anybody was like, we're going to beat them by 4. We can do this. We got this. But it was like, hey, let's go out, put on a show, and see if we can beat them. We went down by 4. I thought you and Manu, particularly in the second half on our O, were, basically we were, there was at stages the sideline was like, give Ben and Manu space, give Ben and Manu the space to get the offense into the red zone. But I guess, like Manu's probably one of the names when you're like, yeah, I get a chance to play with international players. I think a lot, like she was for me, my, from a recruiting point, like my recruiting carrot. Like I was like, I got Manu, and everybody's like, well, yeah, you got Manu, I'm in. But yeah, let's start with you playing with Manu and this USA showcase game, and talk a bit about the way you two work together, and then throw in how the game felt for you as you guys cooked through that one.
Yeah. So obviously, playing with Manu is, like you said, a good carrot to put on the stick. I have lots of friends who are friends with Manu, very high praise for her as a person. And then obviously her game speaks for itself. I've watched many games of Manu playing, watched her tape, try to emulate things about her, and then getting to play alongside her and realizing like from the get-go, I think the first game that we played was like U24 Canada or something like that, because she came a day late.
First game with her, right? Under 24 Canada. Yes.
And I immediately was like, okay, I have chemistry with this person. She has this really good break bag, and like I like throwing break throws to small spaces too. And we realized that we have really good chemistry, and I think both of us have a knack for getting open like at late stall if it's needed. So both are pretty good release valves, and so I think we were often release valves for each other when things weren't happening downfield or cutters got disconnected from handlers. Like, Manu and I were kind of the main handlers on our line, even though I think we're both kind of downfield starting hybrids. But it was fun to play that role of handler and kind of she centers to me or I center to her, and then do some action with one of us going up line that opens up someone else. And yeah, just like it felt like there were a lot of times where I was looking to a space and she would automatically appear into that space and be open. And I think that happened both ways, where I kind of knew where she wanted to throw. Like she's got a really good backhand, like that step out backhand, and she's got a nice little like low touchy flick around, which is a throw that I like to throw as well. And so we were kind of just cutting for each other a lot of the time. And, some of those points at the end were kind of just Manu and I throwing it to each other, or Manu to me, I throw like a break throw down the line to someone and then I get it back and then where's Manu, or, vice versa. And so it was pretty fun, just kind of like tunnel visioning sometimes onto Manu and then her onto me. Especially like on a stage like that. So like, to speak to the stage, whole crowd is there. like, because it's the showcase night game. So the stadium's packed. It was a great venue, I thought, for that game. You've got the whole bleachers and the press box up top. And I was actually, some of my closest family friends live in London. And so I stayed like a day or two with them prior to the tournament. And I told them about it. And they were able to come out and watch. They'd never seen me play like on that sort of game. And, the game ended and they came up to me and they're like, oh my gosh, that was like incredible, because it really was one of the most entertaining games I think I've ever been a part of. I'm sure as a spectator it would have been.
I've tried to sum up the game a few times, and like it was just like gun slinging ultimate, where the best players in the world in the second half particularly were just going for whatever the most exciting option was. And there were turnovers, but like a lot of them were coming off too, and it was like, and a lot of the turnovers were from exceptional Ds as well. There were some careless turnovers. I'm not going to sugarcoat the game.
It's ultimate.
But it was just like at the end, it was like, I mean, if anybody's, I don't know if, like, I would love to say, I hope this game comes out soon for people to watch it. This is how you beat the US, but like, I don't know if that could be done again to get US out of their rhythm, to allow them to just like, fuck it. Well, we will have a shootout with these guys and see how it goes. Like, because it was just like boom, but like boom, pow, bang. It was as exciting as Ultimate as I've ever seen, albeit quite sloppy. So it was.
But I think that's part of the excitement.
Yeah.
What's going to happen? Who's going to throw what? Is this going to go up? It could. Oh, it did.
Yeah.
Like,
and to go down 4-0, bring it back, go back down another 3. I think take half. I think we went down another 1 or 2 before we trade towards the end. I think the last 6 were trading. While we stayed ahead, or 5 we stayed ahead, but that was a wild game, and if you haven't watched it, go check it out. I'm hoping that will be out. It will definitely be out before the World Games. But other teammates, I mean, I know it's so like easy to say everybody, and I know it's true, but give me 1 or 2 that, like, I don't know, really stood out as either fun to play with or impressed you or something like that. 2 or 3, whatever. Give me a couple that first come to mind, perhaps.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, the list goes on. I mean, it was very apparent from the first friendly when we beat Canada. I was like, whoa, we're really talented. And then it made me realize, like, all these World Games teams are just conglomerations of really talented players that really have never played before. And then I was like, oh, we're on the same level. We're just as good, like easily. And I didn't know how good we would be. And then I realized, oh, all these teammates are just sick. So, I could name like everyone on the team, to be frank with you. But my roommate was Nick Whitlock. And so I spent a lot of time with Nick, and we would watch the games every night. So we would go into our little hotel room with our TV setup, and then we'd stream the game and watch the game and talk shop. And it was like so weird because I was like, am I in my living room in college? Because I'm watching film with this other really good player. We're just talking about what we're thinking about and, making little quips and jokes and whatnot. And so I had a lot of fun bonding time with Nick, and he is also an incredible player.
Yeah, I mean, he played out of his mind too.
Super good. Yeah, he would, talking about UFA, he'd be really good in the UFA, especially like with his build and skill set. So Nick was someone I didn't even know really, that I really connected with and had a lot of fun playing with. Jorge Buja, super good. Someone that I also connected with a lot. Quick give and goes, just like a bull in a china shop. Like, he just was like, get out of my way, I'm getting the disc back no matter what. Like, talk about release valve, he was a release valve. I mean, all of the Fruit girls were super fun. Like, they all played their own style and they were all laying out crazy. And, Christina would auto eject upline every time, very hard to stop that. And then Aurora and Lola just like fat bid after fat bid after fat bid. Like, I was just like, holy. Aurora had a catch in the Germany game that I was like on the field for, and in the like ISO I'm next spot, and I didn't cut because I was just like
Yeah,
Like,
she's
cannot
good at
believe
the
that
jaw
she got
dropping bits.
that.
I felt so bad for Lola in the USA game. How many
I
times she
know.
got overthrown, and I feel like it was Pingu,
It was
a bunch
Pingu
of
to
those times
Lolo like
overthrowing.
4
But
times.
to just to see how like bad she wants it and through her body each time was incredible. Awesome. I'm not. I'll stop you there so we don't have to
Yeah.
kind of to pick apart the whole team because
Yeah.
I'm sure I know I could go on and gush about every player. I'm sure you're the same. I know you had a blast. We should get close to wrapping things up here, but I do
Yep.
have a couple of just random kind of questions to finish off with. You've now played in Europe. You played world stage. Is there ever a chance you would play in Europe? B, if so, what kind of country, city, club is on your radar or attractive to you?
Yeah, I mean, I spoke to like why I moved to New York, because it's so walkable and there's, a diversity of folks that live there. And yeah, Europe is definitely a place, especially spending some time in Europe, the past not 2 summer, 25 and 23. It just, opened up the perspective of what it's like to Europe, and the priorities are just different. And I think are more conducive to a healthy lifestyle and a lifestyle that I would want to live. And so like, yeah, I definitely would want to move to Europe at some point, or to at least spend a year in Europe just to see what it would be like to live there. So it's definitely something on my radar. That if the opportunity presents itself where I feel compelled, that I might try to do. In terms of like what club I would play for, I think that's really hard to say. I think it'd be cool to play Moon. I think it'd be cool to play Clapham. I think it'd be cool to play La Fota. Like those are all countries I would love to be in, and with players that I know and like I know are at the top of the European club scene. Those are all ones that I was thinking about, as well as countries I would want to visit. So yeah, that's definitely one. Something I've been thinking about for sure.
Nice. Well, we hope to get you over here for sure.
Yeah.
Like even the way Kins had planned on doing it, I hope he's good and maybe able to play at the end of the season. But come over for one big qualifier, get yourself on a roster, come back, see if a team can help fly out, kind of thing. It's quite
Right.
easy to do the way Paul Arders did it with Moon last year as well. Like, really gives us 2 trips to Europe. So keep it on the radar. This show so there'll be some Europeans watching. So hopefully somebody rings your
Reach
bell
out
and
to
says,
me.
we'll help you with a flight or something.
Yeah.
US Open, there will be the 3 teams you mentioned,
Right.
Lafota, Moon, Clapham, as well as Buzz, I think, in the Open division.
Wow. Cool.
Of the 12 teams competing, do any of these teams crack semis? Can a non-US team crack semis at US Open? Give me I guess a prediction on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's certainly possible. Especially like, you're at altitude. Could certainly see Moon putting up a bunch of really good hucks and, letting their athletes make plays. I think, a lot of guys are just as good. Although are like Don and Toba like playing with
I think
Dig
Toba
/
stays
Machine?
with Dig, but I think Don and Soph, who are both on Machine, I believe they are playing Moon.
Cool. Yeah. So I mean, I could see them doing it. I mean, like, yeah, is Connor playing for? I guess Goat's not going to be there.
No,
So
Connor will definitely be playing Clapham.
Connor will be on Clapham, and yeah, I mean, they've always got a really stingy sort of offense, I've found, and they're obviously very athletic, train hard, big guys. Yeah, I mean, U.S. Open also is one where it's hard to predict, I think, just because no one's really played anyone yet. PEC is kind of a like warm-up tournament in a lot of ways, and people are often missing their full roster because of UFA commitments. And so I think it's hard to know who is even the top teams right now. Obviously, you can look at rosters and make predictions, but I mean, I wouldn't put it past Buzz either. Like, they obviously have a style that's very foreign to a lot of Americans, and if it gets windy, I think that could play to their strengths. I could certainly see someone. You said semis?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that'll be a tall task because everyone in quarters is going to be crazy good. I mean, everyone in pool play is going to be crazy good, but I mean, it's certainly not out of the realm of possibility, especially as the world continues to, from my perspective, catch up to the US in terms of talent and athleticism and strategy. Like, with the advent of the internet, all these things are very accessible and you can
Yeah.
see how people are playing and the strategies they use. And I think that the world is certainly making noise. I could see it.
I agree with you. I think U.S. still hold the reins here, but I do believe even after such a dominant performance at U24s by the U.S., I still believe that the world's catching up. It's hard to kind of
I know.
equate those two things and say they were
Yeah.
so much better at this youth age, but I still I truly do believe that the world is slowly chipping away and catching up.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to end of your season. Can you give me? This will be my last prediction ask, but top semifinalists at USA Nationals this year. Who are the top four open? Will stay in your division. Open club teams going to be?
Okay. This is hard because I think that it's going to kind of come down to like draws and matchups. I think there are 5 teams to me that can win, and those are Machine, Rhino, Dig, Revolver, and Pony. To me, those are like the 5 that could definitely win. And some conglomeration of 4 would have to make it.
I suspect you're not going to kick Pony out in your prediction.
No, I'll ride my guys. So I'll put Pony in there. I'll put Revolver in there. I think they look really good, especially roster wise, and I think that they've got a lot of young guys. Machine adds Soph, Rutledge,
Sam
Will
McGuckin.
Wettingale, Sam McGuckin. I think you got to ride the talent of Machine, and I got some homies on Rhino, but I'm gonna bounce him and say Dig.
And say Dig's in and Rhino gets bounced. I like
I
it.
think Dig gets in.
We'll see how this goes. Looking forward to it for sure. And finally, I don't know. I guess what's top of Ben Dameron's list? I don't know whether your goals or what's up next. What are you looking forward to most? What's up next for you that kind of driving you, motivating you, and pushing you forward?
Yeah, I think that playing in the triangle for 6 years was really awesome, and I got to play with so many of these players that I'm so familiar with and feel like I have a lot of chemistry with. And moving to this new space with all these new players and seeing how they approach the game, I think it's a new opportunity to start building community with a brand new set of folks and figuring out how that can elevate not only my game but the people around me, and figure out how we can start building a culture that is winning, and especially with all these new people. So I'd say, like, especially with World Games, not for another 4 years. I guess like the focus is club, the focus is Pony, the focus is making new friends and building something with a new group of people, because that's what it's about, right? Is building these teams and these connections and relationships and seeing what that sort of makes of us. So yeah, I guess that's the focus. Trying to win a club championship, I think, is one of the big ones that sticks out to me. If you're talking about externals, internals, it's building a team culture that's fun to be around.
Awesome. Love it. Love all your answers and conversation, really, more than Q&A. But as you say, these relationships are so important. I'm very happy to have established as much with you while we get to spend some time in London. Looking forward
Likewise.
to seeing you in Aurora for sure. I get to come over to
Yes.
US Open, which I'm mega stoked about. So can't wait to see you over there. But
I know.
for everything, for all of your time, to give us this time and pick your brain and get to know Ben Damron, thank you very much. You're a wonderful young lad with a super bright future, so we can't wait to watch you play. Any quick shout outs before we head off into the sunset?
yeah, I mean, shout out my parents for always being on the sideline and following all the time. Biggest fans, biggest Ultimate fans, and shout out you for setting this all up in ULTI.TV and for setting up Tokai and getting to make this connection. You know, I really enjoyed all the time that we got to spend both on and off the field. Yeah, you're an awesome guy that's really pushing the envelope of the sport.
Stop it. I was definitely not looking for...
I know I don't need to fan the ego that you already have. Yeah, you know, just
love it so much. Listen, everybody, thank you for tuning in. This guy's a bloody legend, Ben Damron. Thanks for joining us here on Best Perspective. We'll be back with more guests, more content, more good times. I'm Stef Pazzo. That's Ben Damron. Thanks for joining us. We'll catch you next time.
Thanks for having me. Peace.